Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? It's good to see you. Thank you for coming to the Wednesday morning lecture for Psych 118. It's great to see everybody. I see we have a couple of people here today, which isn't bad. If you're on the broadcast and you want to say hello, go ahead and type a hello to me in the chat bar and let me know how you're doing. It is Chris Roddenberry, your teacher today. We are ready to start, and I'm going to be doing these lectures every morning, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. for the next 8 weeks. Remember, you do not have to come to these live YouTube lectures. They are here for your interest to give you something. You know what? In fact, you know what I forgot to do? Let me go ahead and do this really quickly. I forgot to send a reminder. Where's my YouTube? There's my YouTube thing. Hold on, we got 3 people. Hi, Johanna. Hi, Caleb. Good to see each and every one of you. You know what? I just want to make sure. I want to be neurotic. There we go. Just want to make sure I want to be neurotic. Okay. There we go. Copy link. Just want to make sure. Oh, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and send this out as a reminder to everybody. Oh, good to see you. Let's see. Class has started. Paste and send. There we go. Fantastic. So you folks are all doing well. It's good to see you, Caleb. Good to see you, Johanna. And good to see whoever the third person is. Real quick, just before we get started, I want to make sure that you've done your course entry stuff. Let's go to the whiteboard real quick. Remember, to join Remind, you'll get free reminders, free assignment reminders, and you'll also get +2 EC on your attendance grade. You're going to text at SU22PSY118 to 81010. Remember, you can get some extra credit doing that. And the second thing that you need to do, complete the course entry quiz by Thursday. Remember, you have to do this. This is extremely important. If you don't complete the course entry quiz by Thursday at 11:59, I am obligated by the school, to remove you from the class. So make sure that you do that. Is everybody doing all right today? Johanna, Caleb? Now, today we're going to start off this course by talking about adjustment and how psychology can help you be an effective person. So what I want to do is ask you the question. Dadgummit, the spam calls keep coming. How are you doing? And I mean that specifically. How are you meeting the challenges of life? How well are you doing? And I really want to know, if you're watching this lecture right now live, go ahead and type in the chat bar. How are things going for you? Are you doing well? Are you adjusting to the challenges? Is there anything that's overwhelming you, that's difficult for you? Are you struggling at home, family, at the job? How well are you adjusting to life? One of the main things that psychology is used for, one of the things that I really want you to get this for this semester, is I want you to appreciate, I forgot, let's see, let me go back to this, let me grab my little picture and move me down there, ba-da! Okay, how well are you adjusting to modern life? Are you doing all right? Caleb says they're doing well. Johanna, I hope you're doing well. Are you meeting the challenges of life? One of the things that psychology can do is to give you some clues, some tips, some life lessons to help you adjust to the struggles of life. Because life is a struggle, right? Every day is harder than the next. Johanna says you're doing okay, I guess. You know what? I'll settle for okay, I guess. Life is difficult, is it not? What are the biggest challenges for you students right now? What is the biggest challenge for you? What is most difficult? What are you fighting with that really gives you the most trouble these days? Can anybody tell me? For me, right now, if I'm being honest, it's dealing with a midlife crisis. My wife and I have been married 27 years. The kids are now grown up, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do as empty nesters. And you know what? It's not as easy as you think. You spend 25 years of your life building this family structure, and suddenly your kids grow up and move off, and poof, that family structure disappears, and you have to figure out how to live again. And it's a real challenge for me as a human being. Each and every one of us has these challenges depending upon where we are in life. And today we're going to talk about adjusting to modern life. And we're going to talk about 3 examples of the paradox of progress. We're going to talk about what's meant by the paradox of progress. We're going to talk about examples of people's search for direction. We're going to talk about the problems with self-help books and what to look for in quality self-help books. We're going to talk about the philosophy underlying this textbook. And we're going to talk about the 2 facets of psychology that repeat themselves in this textbook. And we'll talk a little bit about the concept of adjustment. Okay? Now, what do we mean by the paradox of progress? I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel overwhelmed by today's life. I have all of these tools at my disposal. I'm sitting here working, teaching online with this amazing online technology. I can get on my phone right here. I can do banking. I can call anybody around the world. I can do my job on this phone. I can play video games and meet with friends on this phone. I can do almost everything. Man, modern technology has provided me with an abundance of time-saving devices that allow me to do everything I want and everything I need. And yet, sometimes it feels like I don't have enough time to take care of all the things I have to take care of. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by life, even though I have modern technology to help me do almost everything I need to do. Does anybody else in here feel overwhelmed by technology sometimes? That's sort of a paradox, if you will. We have this technology that makes us so useful and so effective, and yet we continue to feel as if we aren't effective, right? On the other hand, you know what? Because I teach online, I could live anywhere. I could live in Colombia, I could live in Croatia, I could live here in Raleigh, or I could move to the West Coast if I want. I have all of these choices. You know what? I don't have to restrain myself to the friends that live in my neighborhood. I can use this phone and have friends all over the state and all over the world, right? And so there are so many choices that I can make, so many things that I can do. And sometimes I have so many choices that I feel kind of paralyzed. You know what I mean? I have so much freedom that it actually paralyzes me and makes it even more difficult. And a lot of people, maybe you, I don't know if you want to talk about it, Johanna or Caleb or anybody else who's online, but we have so many choices, so much freedom, so much technology, so much progress, if you will. And yet, you know what? Psychological problems are on the increase. Unhappiness is on the increase. Anxiety, depression, on the increase. How can we live in a world with so much progress and yet have so many challenges facing us? This is sort of the paradox of progress that we face. And one of the things that we have to learn how to do as a people is we have to learn how to live in spite of all these things that we now have. I remember as a kid in the 1970s, life seemed so much easier than it does today. And yet we have so many more things to make life easier today. How are we going to adjust, that is, respond to all of these changes that is happening in the world, right? Why do we have this paradox of progress? Why? What do you think is the most likely reason for this paradox? We have 5 people online now. I want you to read these solutions. Do any of these sound like the reason that we have this paradox? Why are we feeling so bad these days? I'd be curious. Go ahead and type your answer in the chat bar. Is it because the mental demands of modern life have become too complex? Is life too complex now? Or do we spend too much time worrying about being beautiful on social media, right? Or does all this technology make us too busy? Are we trying to do too much? Or do we spend too much time on our phones? Are our phones driving us crazy? Or are we suffering from affluenza? That is, we have so much and we are so rich and we have so many things in our pockets, so much fun we can do. Is this causing us to feel badly about ourselves? Which of these decisions do you think, which of these causes do you think is the root of today's problems? Does anybody know? Go ahead and type in the chat bar. Johanna, I know you. Okay, holy cow. All right, I am sorry about that. For some reason, the internet here at school cut off for just a second. I had to cut it back on. So Johanna seems to think that we spend too much time with technology. If you want to develop that in the chat bar, Johanna, I'd be curious to hear you describe that a little more in detail. Caleb thinks that we have an obsession with self-improvement. We want those selfies. We want to make sure that we look beautiful and look great online. I would agree with both of those. Who knows? Maybe there are lots of reasons why we have this paradox of progress, right? Now, a lot of people in this search for direction go to self-help books. How many of you have ever used a self-help book? Do any of you have self-help books that you use? Talk to me. Let me know. What self-help books do you use? Have any of you ever heard of these 7 qualities of highly effective people? Anybody ever read that book? I see that my picture is getting in the way by the little brand there on my computer. How many of you are using a self-help book? Noda's not using a self-help book. You know, I met a lady about 2 weeks ago. She's sort of she's got a bestseller called Move Your Stuff, Change Your Life. And she argues that by using Feng Shui, you can make yourself happier, find love, find respect, and find money. And so she believes that you can use Feng Shui to make your life better. You know, the greatest challenge of modern life may be our search for meaning or a sense of direction. Everybody's wondering, what's life all about? What am I going to do? And in desperation, people turn to many ineffective or self-destructive sources for enlightenment. Some people go to radio personalities and listen to. I know some people that go to these crazy websites and these crazy news sources and find meaning and sometimes hatred in life by going to radio personalities. Some people go to Tony Robbins seminars. People maybe read books, The Tao of Pooh, and all of these books. And one of the most prominent sources that people go to is self-help books. And I'd like to ask you the question, how valuable are they? Well, you know, sometimes they're valuable and sometimes they're not valuable. There's a lot of crap out there, and so you have to be careful when you go look for help in self-help books. Well, you say, Chris, how do I know what a good self-help book is? Well, here's the deal. When you go look for self-help books, you have to make sure that you find a good one. And you know what? There are excellent self-help books out there. They really are. But there's a lot of crap out there too. And so what you have to learn how to do is to become a good consumer of self-help books. If you're trying to make yourself more effective, if you're trying to find love, if you're trying to find happiness, if you're trying to deal with whatever psychological problems you have to be careful, because you know what? A lot of self-help books have very vague messages, are filled up with psychobabble. Finding your inner peace, finding your I, finding your center. These terms a lot of times are psychobabble. They're super vague and they really don't help you. In fact, hold on. Let me see. Where's that textbook I've got? I've got this textbook. Where is this thing? Hold on. Let me see if I've got this. Where did I put that book? Incredible. I don't have it with me. But I've got a book filled with psychobabble. Well, luckily I must have left it at home. And it's a book on meditation and finding inner happiness. And the book is just filled with these crazy terms that have absolutely no meaning. And so it's not a useful self-help book. So you have to make sure that you avoid a book that is filled with vague platitudes and psychobabble. A lot of self-help books are written by people who do not have scientific backgrounds, who haven't really done research and just have great ideas. Now, you may have a great idea for how life can make you happy, but is that really a scientific theory that can help other people be happy? I hate to dash on my friend Karen Carter, but I'm not sure how much science is in this book of Feng Shui. Okay, great person, great bestseller, but does that book really, is it based on science? I don't think so. You know, a lot of books don't really provide explicit directions for changing your behavior. Find your center, Chris, and you'll be happy. Well, that's great, but I need some very explicit directions that are going to help me become a more successful person. How do I quit those drugs? How do I quit that drinking? How do I quit these abusive relationships? I need very explicit directions for changing my behavior. And you know what? I hate to say this, a lot of times the root problem actually comes from focusing on yourself too much. Me. This book is about me, making me happy, finding my peace, finding me. You know, there are actually psychologists who talk about theory based on solid psychological behavior that argue that excessive self-focus is the root of all these problems. If you think about it, technology makes us more efficient so we can focus on ourselves. Social media allows us to focus on our own image. There are a lot of people who think that the reason we are having problems right now in society and so many people are anxious and depressed is because we spend too much time focusing on ourselves. So a lot of self-help books actually encourage people to be narcissistic, which is problematic in its own right. So how am I going to find a useful self-help book? Okay, Noda is actually Dmitro Halovnia. Okay, I'll remember that and I'll call you Dmitro from now on, Noda. Thanks for coming. So if you are going to use a self-book, I want you to make sure that you find a self-book that is realistic and doesn't promise to change you too soon and too much. Because honestly, if the offer is too good to be believed, then it is not realistic, okay? A book that says it's going to change your life, I mean, not to crack on my friend, Karen, but she says that if you move the furniture around in your apartment, you're going to change your life, gain love, money, respect, and happiness. Whoa! Hold on there, cowboy. That's a mighty big claim you are making. So I would argue that one of the problems with this book is that this person is arguing that you can move your furniture around and change every part of your life. Don't you think that's just a little too big of a claim to make, right? Now, Also, make sure you research the author. What is their basis for making these claims? Do they have a background? Do they have experience? Are they really the expert that they claim to be? Anybody could write a book. You could write a book claiming to be self-help. And if you find somebody to publish it, lo and behold, you have a self-help book. Make sure that your book is written by somebody who has the credentials. They don't necessarily have to be a PhD, I'm not saying that, but they have to have an area of expertise that they can build on, that they can build their arguments from. So always check your claims. Now, here's the deal. Make sure that your book is based on research and science. It can't just be my intuition that moving your couch is going to make you feel better. Where are the data that suggest that this in fact works? Again, I hate to ram on my friend, but you do have to have some sort of scientific basis for the claims that you make. You can't just say it's true. It actually has to be true, if you will. All right? Now, and most of the time, make sure that your book is going to give explicit advice. I don't want things like finding my center or recentering. I need very detailed, explicit advice, okay? I don't need general advice. I need very, very specific advice. And make sure that the textbook, that the book that you use has very explicit directions on how to alter your behavior. And you know what? Rather than having a book that says it's going to change everything, love, money, respect, and happiness, wow, that's a lot of things. Instead, focus on a book that's going to help you in a narrow area. Most of the time, an author with good credentials, an author that's writing a book based upon research, theory or research, a book that's giving you very specific, explicit directions, it's going to be a very narrow book. How to be more effective at work, how to be more effective in romantic relationships, how to win friends and influence people. Very, very specific claims and very, very specific problems. You don't want a self-help book that says you can fix everything, because a self-help book that claims to fix everything typically can't fix anything. And you know what? If you folks are suffering from affluenza, or as I like to call it, the suburban sickness, if you are a person who's unhappy and you really want to change your life, one of the biggest suggestions I would give you is to find a place to volunteer. Do any of you volunteer? Do any of you spend your time helping people who need help? One of the things that I found that makes me happiest as a human being is when I'm volunteering. Oh my goodness. Hello, Logan Phillips. Hi folks, how are you doing? Sorry to interrupt the class, but we have Logan Phillips, one of my former students, dropping in to say hello. Hi Logans, it's good to see you. I hope you're having a great summer. Thanks for coming back and saying hello to the class. Go ahead and tell the class what you think about these live stream lectures. Did you find them valuable? Did you find them interesting? Give me a shout out if you could, because I'd love to hear you build me up in front of the class. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So folks, say hello to Logan. We're talking about self-help books, Logan, and I'm telling them that when you go find a self-help book, you need to find a self-help book that's written by an expert, that has specific, detailed advice, that tries to solve one particular problem rather than all of your problems. And that self-help books like this sometimes can be problematic because we spend too much time thinking about ourselves. And then maybe if you volunteer, that can actually make you a happier, healthy person. Do any of you volunteer? I love baseball, so I spend my Saturday mornings during the spring and fall down at the Miracle League volunteering as a baseball coach. I go down there and help the special needs kids play baseball on Saturday mornings. And you know what? It makes me feel better about everything in my life to help somebody else who needs help. And I suggest, if you are suffering from depression and anxiety, if you're the kind of person that's not happy right now, go help somebody else. you'll be surprised how much that will make you feel better about yourself. Ooh, thank you very much. Absolutely fundamental to the class. There you go. High five for you. Actually, let's go ahead and give, let's go ahead and give Logan a round of applause. Thank you very much to playing that. Really? Okay. I absolutely love that, man. I used to coach the Rangers as the head coach. Now I do volunteering in all different areas, but I used to actually be a head coach. And nothing was more fun than seeing a kid in a wheelchair getting wheeled around the bases after hitting a home run. Super duper fun. Okay, now here's the approach of this textbook. Here's the approach of this class. This class is based on the idea that if I give you accurate knowledge about the principles of psychology, you can use these principles to make your life better. I promise you that I can help improve your life if you will take to heart some of the things that I say in this class and that are written in this book. At the same time that I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you to think critically about the things that I say. You don't have to believe everything I say. In fact, I hope you challenge me and say, Chris Roddenberry, where is the proof? How do you know that what you're saying is in fact true? I want you to become a critical consumer of self-help books, of all kinds of knowledge. I want you to be a critical consumer of things you find on the internet and try to figure out which things can help you be a more productive person. And you know what? I promise you that this text will open doors in your life. Or in a sense, I'm claiming that this is a self-help book. I just told you to be careful about believing self-help books that promise they can affect your entire life. And you know what? I'm here promoting a book that I say can actually help your entire life. So isn't that ironic? Dr. Roddenberry is saying that books can't change your whole life. And in fact, I'm selling you a book that can change your whole life. And so I hope that you can use this book to become a more productive personality. That's really what this psych class is about. I know most of you are not taking this because you want to be a psychologist. Many of you are not going on to four-year education. But the reason that this class is in your program is because it is seen as a way to make you a more effective, a happier, and a better, more rounded, well-rounded person. So I hope you take the things that I say this semester to heart. And you know what? Logan Phillips telling you that this is a fundamental part of the class. I would agree with that. Spending time talking with another person about psychology is really going to help you internalize these lessons and become a more productive, happier person. I promise, I promise, I promise. All right. Now, what is the psychology of adjustment? First, let me define psychology. It's the science that studies behavior and the physiological and mental processes that underlie it. So why do we do the things we do? And what is it about our brain and our mind and our body that makes us do these things? And the profession applies this accumulated knowledge of this science to practical problems. So your clinical psychology knows what causes psychological disorders, and they apply that knowledge to help you solve your psychological problems. A sports psychologist knows what kinds of problems an athlete faces, and so they use the knowledge that they've learned in psychology to help these athletes improve their performance. Okay? I'm a social psychologist. I know how groups work and how people work in groups. I use my knowledge in business settings to help groups and work groups become more effective. And so psychology is the branch of science that understands how our mind controls our behavior, and we use what we know to help people lead happier, more productive lives. Okay? And adjustment, when we use the term adjustment is you finding a way to manage, to cope, and to be a productive human being in your day-to-day life. How many of you are having trouble coping right now? How many of you are having problems in your personal relationships? How many of you are lonely? How many of you are having trouble passing your classes at school? How many of you are crippled by anxiety that keeps you from being a productive person? If any of these sounds familiar, you're having difficulty adjusting to the stress of life. And it's no big deal. We all have to learn how to adjust to the life that we are living. And in fact, when you go to a counselors, psychological counselors help people who are having adjustment problems. If you've ever been to a marriage counselor, I've been married 27 years. My wife and I, of course, had to go to counseling for a time to sort out some problems that we were having. We were having trouble adjusting in our relationships. And so we went to a counselor who helped us with relationship adjustment. How many of you have ever gone to a family counselor because you're having problems in the family? Maybe the kids are acting up or the parents are acting up. You're having trouble adjusting to your family stresses. And so you go see a family counselor. Some people go to a life coach because they feel like they're not being productive in some area of their life. Maybe their relationships, their job, a self-help coach, a sports psychologist. Any of these people help people who are trying to adjust to the demands and challenges of everyday life. Dude, life is difficult. I swear to God, nobody said it was ever going to be easy, right? And so adjustment is the psychological process through which people manage or cope with the demands and challenges of everyday life. And over the course of this semester, I'm hoping to teach you how to cope and adjust with the challenges of everyday life that you are meeting now and going to meet during the rest of your life. Okay? So, that's really all I had to say for today. Sort of a short lecture. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about adjustment. Do any of you have any questions or thoughts on adjustment? What do you hope to get out of this class? Go ahead real quick and type in a little bit and tell me, what do you think you're going to get from this class? What do you hope to get from this class? What do you want me to talk about? Anybody? What do you have going on in your life that you want to get better at? Does anybody have any area they want to improve in? Go ahead and let me know. I'll take just a moment to see what you're typing in the chat bar. Anybody have any adjustment problems? Any challenges that they're meeting? I noticed that not many people are typing in the chat bar, and that's completely fine if you don't want to talk. But I do invite you to type questions and comments to me in the chat bar. And unlike a regular seated class, I would love for you to chat with your friends while the lecture is going on. Logan will tell you that sometimes last semester while I was giving a lecture, students were having their own conversation together in the chat bar. And rather than not like that, I actually love that. Because one of the things that I think helps people learn is when they talk with one another. Okay? So you are fundamentally allowed to gossip in my class. Okay, I don't see any comments in the chat bar, but I will tell you that right now, what I'm trying to adjust to right now is the midlife crisis that I'm having as an empty nester. It's very, very strange for me. I spent all of my time raising kids, washing clothes, cooking dinner, cleaning dishes, mowing the house, and now all mowing the yard, taking care of my kids, getting to doctor's appointments, practices, school events, and all of that's gone, and I have all of this free time, and I'm trying hard to figure out what my new life is going to look like. So one of the things that I'm having to cope with right now is this change in life that occurs to everybody when the kids move out. Logan Phillips says he has some really hateful coworkers that makes work life difficult. I want to try and get the hate out of your life. I think we all have problems with coworkers. And people are so sad and unhappy now that they bring this sadness and this unhappiness to work. And a lot of people take out their problems on others at work. Do any of you in the lecture have that kind of problem happening at your work? How many of you are struggling with coworkers? Logan, do you have any insights? How are you going to do that? Do you have any problems, any solutions to your problems? How are you going to deal with the haters at work, the backstabbers at work, the lollygaggers, the people that don't do their share? Do any of you have butt kissers that are getting promotions while you do all the work and stay stranded down at the bottom of the work pile? How many of you have these kinds of problems, right? Logan, maybe one day you'll figure out some solutions that will help you deal with these problems. But until then, just remember, keep going to work. Keep your eyes focused on the prize, which is your paycheck and your own promotion. And just remember that when people are mean to you, most of the time it's because they are unhappy. People who are happy with themselves are not mean to other people. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. I try to avoid conversations with them when they start gossiping or things like that. I also try to be extra nice, maybe to get some reciprocation. Dude, that is a great thing to do. It is really hard to be mean to somebody who is being nice to you. And in the end, when you're being nice to somebody, it makes you feel better. I don't know if any of you have ever purposefully been mean to somebody, but you never feel good after being mean on purpose. You know, I actually had a friend that I quit hanging around with about 4 or 5 months ago because I found out that this person's been talking about me behind my back. You know what? I didn't fight with them. I didn't scream at them. After I got over being initially hurt, I just decided that, you know what? My strategy is going to stay away from this person and their negativity. And while it hurt for a little while losing a friend and knowing that somebody wasn't really my friend, when you just move away from the negativity, it can make your life a little more positive. So even though I'm a psychologist and a PhD, I don't want you to think that my life is perfect. Remember, heart doctors get emphysema and have heart attacks as well. And psychologists struggle with problems just like non-psychologists do. And I want you to know that just because you become rich and famous and everybody loves you on social media and you have $100 million does not mean your life is going perfect. Each and every one of us has problems and challenges that we have to overcome no matter what our position is. I want to thank Logan for visiting class today and offering some solutions to us and participating. And I invite you, Dimitro, Johanna, Caleb, in the future, I would invite you to share your opinions as well. I would love to hear them. Now, don't forget, the weekly webinar is tonight at 8 p.m. in the Neuromatrix Lab. If you can make it, I would love to have you. If not, make sure that you do the discussion board that is due tomorrow at Thursday evening. Thursday evening at 11:59. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye. Oh, by the way, before I go, I want to let you, if you like this lecture, if you think these YouTube lectures are going to be valuable, please subscribe to my channel so that you will get reminders. I think this is why Logan was able to show up here this morning. He's a subscriber and he saw that I had a class going on. He got a little notification and so he decided to jump in and say hello. And Logan, I can't tell you how much it warms my heart to have you come into class and say something nice. That really feels good and helps me. And I invite each and every one of you to subscribe to my channel. He does get the notifications. Sorry to annoy you, but I love having you as a subscriber. I have 301 subscribers, so that makes me a D-list YouTube star. Yay, and I'm only about 4,000 subscribers from ever making a nickel off of these YouTube lectures. Wow, Dmitro is from Ukraine. I lived a busy life in the U.S. before the war in Ukraine started. Now I'm reading news every day about this. Wow, you know what? And that's got to be a hard thing because I'm sure, Dmitro, you're probably filled with guilt because you are not suffering like your friends and colleagues are suffering. And so one of the things that people can do that maybe you can do is to somehow get involved and feel like you're contributing to some sort of happiness. Maybe start a group that takes up a collection for Ukraine, even if it's only $50 or $100. Just volunteering and creating some sort of benefit will help you, I believe, feel a little bit better about what's going on. But you're undergoing a challenge like I could never imagine, having your country obliterated because of one madman's war. And I don't even know how you deal with that, Dimitro, how to manage this. And I can't tell you not to read the news because you want to read the news. But find a way where you can actually make a contribution, however small it is. And hopefully that contribution will make you feel good, a little bit better, and deal with the pain. That is really... So he went to Eastern Europe to help the refugees. He's a great guy. I have a Ukrainian friend who lives in Minnesota right now, and she's organizing fundraisers and charity drives for the people in Ukraine, buying supplies for people who need things. And it's helping her deal with the pain of this war. I think that's a great idea too. So, Dimitro, maybe you can do that to help yourself feel better. That's a really good challenge. Does anybody else have a challenge that they're facing? Thanks for sharing, Dimitro. You and Logan both. I hope you do share over the course of this semester. And I'm going to share my problems with you too. Not because I want the sympathy, but I want to model the behavior that I want to see you. When we share our problems and let people help us with them, you would be surprised how therapeutic that can be. In fact, that's why group therapy is such a popular thing now. People who go to drug therapy or addiction groups or go to these treatment groups, it's because when we share our problems with other people and hear that they're going through similar problems, it helps us gain perspective on what we are being challenged with. And it's difficult being a mother of 3 children to keep the house clean, to be a wife and a student. No matter how much I do, it is never enough for your family. Oh, I so understand that, Johanna. And they say a man may work from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. There is something difficult about being a mother because it seems like people assume that you're going to take care of the house and the kids and then have a life on the other hand. And that's incredibly unfair to put that kind of pressure on a mom. I totally understand that, Johanna. Wow. So it sounds like we've all got some challenges that we're facing in our life. Don't feel bad because you have a challenge. Everybody has a challenge. And the ones that say they don't have challenges, those are the ones that are having the most difficulty with their challenges. So speak your challenge, face your challenge, and hopefully with my help, you can learn how to overcome and to manage this challenge. Okay, it's 10:43. I'm going to say goodbye for now. I hope to see you tonight at 8 p.m. in the Neuromatrix webinar. Take care, Logan. Thanks for stopping in. You're always welcome to come in anytime you want. Have a great day. And remember, be positive and don't give up. You can do this. Bye.